Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into the truly extraordinary life of someone who basically rewrote the rules on dedication.
Absolutely. A real legend.
We're talking about Mikhail Tal, the chess grandmaster. We'll be drawing from Tal's Blitz, from hospital to shared world champion, and Tal's Gamut, a grandmaster's unbreakable spirit.
Great sources.
Right.
Really capture his essence.
Our mission, really, is to get under the skin of what made Tal so unique, beyond the obvious genius, how he was this kind of warrior poet, and why seemingly nothing could keep him from chess.
Not even a serious physical danger, as we'll see.
Exactly. Prepare for some stories that sound almost, well, unbelievable. Let's dive in. Okay, so this first story really sets the stage. We're in Moscow, 1970s. Picture a smoky Soviet bar.
Right, you can almost smell the cigarette smoke and cheap vodka.
Totally. And Tal's there, the magician from Riga, surrounded by other grandmasters. He's telling a story, probably exaggerating like mad, about some insane blitz game.
Knowing Tal, probably involving a queen sacrifice. Or two.
Yeah, queen and two rooks, apparently, blurring that line between what actually happened and, the legend. But then the mood just shifts. There's a guy at the next table, maybe had a bit too much to drink, and he starts loudly, rudely challenging Tal about chess theory of all things. The Sicilian defense.
Ah, the Sicilian. Tal's playground. Yep. Bad move challenging him there.
Definitely. The guy was getting aggressive.
Right.
So Tal, being Tal, fires back, not with anger, but with like a shark joke, one that apparently really hit a nerve.
Oh, yeah.
And then, bam, before anyone can even react, the guy grabs a full vodka bottle.
No.
Yes. And smashes it right over Tal's head.
Oh, my God.
The whole place just freezes. There's blood, chaos. They rush Tal to the hospital. Stitches, bandages.
And strict orders, I bet. Rest. No stress.
Absolutely. Doctors were clear. No stress. And definitely no chess. Okay, but here's where it gets, completely Tal.
Right.
The very next morning.
Don't tell me.
He shows up at the tournament hall, ready to play.
You're kidding. After getting hit with a bottle.
Not kidding. Head wrapped in this big white bandage, looking maybe a little rough around the edges.
I landed, sir.
But he still has that, that mischievous grin, that devilish look in his eye. His opponent, some young player, just stares, completely stunned, says something like, You shouldn't be here.
I mean, who could blame him?
And Tal just gives this legendary reply, completely dead tan. I've taken worse hits, and then adds, like, Fischer's opening novelties.
That's brilliant. Comparing a physical assault to the intellectual pressure of facing Bobby Fischer's prep. Only Tal.
Right. And then he just sits down, plays the game, and he wins. Wins brilliantly, apparently.
Wow. Wow. That story, it says so much, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's legendary, sure, for the toughness, but it cuts deeper. It's like, that was Tal. Chess wasn't just his job or even his passion. It was his identity. He lived it. He bled for it, literally.
Yeah.
And it shows this thing about chaos. He didn't just endure it. He seemed to almost draw energy from it, thrive in it.
Yeah.
That warrior poet thing you mentioned,
Right.
The resolve of a fighter, but the soul of someone who needs that creative spark, even amidst the madness.
That's a great way to put it. And if you think that story is about resilience, well, fast forward nearly 20 years.
Okay, I'm bracing myself.
We're in 1988, Moscow again. Tal's in his 50s now, and his health, it's really failing.
Yeah, his kidney problems were notoriously bad by then.
Exactly. Kidneys failing, spending huge amounts of time in hospitals, apparently could barely sit up straight sometimes. Doctors were absolutely clear you need dialysis, constant medical care, not chess tournaments.
Yeah, especially not high-pressure ones.
Right. But Moscow is hosting this massive World Blitz Championship, like the biggest names. Kasparov, the reigning world champ, is there.
It was like a force of nature at the time. Young, dominant.
Totally. And Karpov, Yusupov, Brilyovsky. Basically everyone who is anyone in chess. The absolute elite.
So the ultimate temptation for Tal.
You guessed it. So what does he do? He's in the hospital, hooked up to machines probably.
Oh, no.
He literally escapes, just gets dressed, slips out when no one's looking, calls a friend for a ride.
You're making this up.
I swear, this is the story. Goes straight from the hospital bed to the tournament hall.
That's beyond belief.
Imagine him walking in. The shock, the whispers. People must have thought they were seeing a ghost.
I remember reading Kasparov's quote about it, something like...
He looked like a ghost, but a ghost with a mission.
Exactly. Chilling.
Absolutely. A ghost haunting the chessboard one last time.
And then he starts playing Blitz. And it wasn't like he was just participating. He was on fire.
Despite being seriously ill.
Seriously ill, but the speed, the intuition, it was all there. Sacrifices flying, pieces dancing, that old Tao magic. He starts beating strong young masters, and he starts taking down the legends.
The adrenaline must have been incredible. Or something else entirely.
Who knows? But the tension just builds and builds until finally it comes down to this almost mythical showdown. Tal versus Kasparov.
The 51-year-old Adepi, frail, looking like he could collapse any second, facing the 25-year-old world champion. Peak physical condition, peak chess strength.
The ultimate contrast. The past versus the present.
The atmosphere must have been electric, everyone watching, and the game itself, classic blitz chaos.
And the result, don't leave us hanging.
Tal won. He beat Garry Kasparov.
Get out. Seriously.
Seriously, and it wasn't just that game. At the end of the whole tournament, Mikhail Tal, fresh out of hospital, tied for first place
with Kasparov,
shared the World Blitz Championship title with the undisputed best player on the planet.
That is utterly astonishing. It almost defies explanation. How did he even explain it himself?
Apparently, when someone asked him how he did it, how he could possibly perform like that, his answer was pure Tal.
Let me guess. Something about suffering.
Nope. Something much simpler. He just said, "Blitz chess is about joy. And I'm still alive, aren't I?"
Wow. Blitz chess is about joy.
That hits hard, doesn't it?
It really does.
Connecting that back, I mean, it lays bare his whole philosophy right there. It wasn't just about competition or proving something. It was about the act of playing. The joy he found in the game itself, that joy was so fundamental to his being, so powerful.
That it could overcome incredible physical hardship.
Exactly. It raises huge questions, about passion, obsession maybe, and what drives the human spirit when the odds seem impossible. For Tal, chess wasn't just something he did. It was how he lived. It was his way of being alive, fully alive, even when his body was failing him. That hospital escape wasn't just defiance. It was, for him, a life-affirming act.
So when we look at both these stories, the bar brawl, the hospital escape, what's the big takeaway here? It's more than just Tal was tough.
Oh, much more. He wasn't just a genius player. Wasn't just a champion. That warrior poet idea really fits. There's this unwavering commitment, yeah, but it's not just grim determination.
There's a spark there.
There's a spark. He gave everything, sure. Bottle to the head, IV drip, didn't matter. Nothing kept him from the board. But what makes him stand out, I think, is that his genius, his joy, his whole identity seemed to flourish right at the edge.
The edge of chaos.
The edge of chaos, the edge of recklessness, even the edge of physical collapse.
Yeah.
He didn't just manage chaos. He seemed to need it, to thrive on the complexity and the risk. It wasn't about control in the way we normally think of it. It was about embracing the storm.
Because that's where he felt most alive.
Precisely. His identity was so wrapped up in that experience, that passion, it became non-negotiable. It was who he was.
So wrapping this up, thinking about Mikhail Tal's, I guess, indomitable spirit, these stories aren't just cool anecdotes. They really show us something profound about passion, don't they?
Absolutely. About resilience, too, but maybe a different kind of resilience than we usually talk about.
Yeah, maybe not just bouncing back, but diving deeper into the thing that defines you, even when it hurts. He found his joy, his life force right there on the chessboard, facing down opponents, illness, everything. Even that bottle.
Even the bottle. It's a powerful reminder, I think, of what humans are capable of when driven by something they truly love. So for you listening, here's something to maybe chew on. Tal found his greatest moments, that incredible joy, right on the brink. It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yep.
Is real strength sometimes found not by avoiding the tough stuff, the chaos in our own lives, but by actually embracing it, finding your game within it?
A challenging thought.
What is your blitz chess? What's that thing, that passion, that joy that you'd metaphorically or maybe even literally break out of a hospital for? What drives your spirit with that kind of unstoppable force? Something to mull over.